Breathe deep. Imagine your legs more limber in Duluth Trading Double Flex Denim. Envision euphorically squatting for that can of suds, bending for your toolbox in a state of bliss, lunging for your laser level on a whole new level. Relax and allow the flex to fill you with ability. Find your inner flex in Double Flex Denim only at Duluth Trading.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy red bumps start on my arm, then my back, sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Well, we're 6 weeks, everybody, since Charlie Kirk was executed, just shot in the neck on a college campus in Utah. The good news is that there have been more than 150,000 new Turning Point USA chapter requests coming in from across the country. All right, if you want to glimmer any good news out of something so horrible of a 31-year-old father of two, loving husband being assassinated like that. The bad news is that Democrats should be turning down the volume, should be turning down the temperature, but no, it ain't happening. And here's James Carville, who I guess is supposed to be the sensible one on the left, because, I don't know, like 33 years ago, he ran a campaign with a transformational candidate like Bill Clinton. In other words, like Clinton really was the guy who carried that race, not so much James Carville, but all these years later, for whatever reason, people still want to interview him for his analysis. Get a load of this, because this is what he wants to happen to Trump supporters. Cut 7, go.
You know what we do with collaborators,
right?
And I my fantasy dream is that this nightmare ends in 2029. And I think we ought to have radical thing. I think they all ought to have their heads shaven. They should be put in orange pajamas, and it should be marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, and the public should be invited to spit on them. All of these collaborators should be shaved, pajamaed, and spit on.
Yeah, that's great. Good for you, James. Spit on, march down Pennsylvania Avenue. What is this, North Korea? This is why Democrats are losing. This is why shingles is more popular than the Democratic Party right now, because they're taking cues from ass clowns like James Carville at this point. And quite frankly, it's getting so old already, especially when, again, you have ICE agents being targeted the way they are. You have, obviously, Charlie Kirk taken from us. They found what looked to be like a sniper's nest outside of Palm Beach International Airport, as far as maybe somebody looking to take out Trump there again. And this is what we got to hear for this crap, utter crap. I know it's a Sunday morning, and I'm sorry, and maybe you're going to brunch, maybe you're taking your kid to a game, and I shouldn't talk like that, but I'm done with this. This is getting utterly ridiculous. And by the way, let's play cut 8 now, because this is Jen Psaki, Peppermint Patty, talking about how there's real problems with the Vance marriage, and Usha's scared to be there without any evidence to support this whatsoever. Former press secretary, MSNBC host Jen Psaki. Let's hear from Peppermint Patty. Go.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else. Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, Are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there.
Now, we're at a point where Psaki obviously can't argue about Democrat policy, because it does not exist outside of Resist Trump and that ridiculous No Kings March about a week ago, where we have kings, really. If we have kings, then how are you marching exactly? How are you protesting if we live in a monarchy? Oh, that's right. There are no kings. This is utterly ridiculous. Donald Trump won a free and fair election, duly elected. The popular vote won that easily. Every swing state swept those. Republicans control the Senate, they control the House, they control the Supreme Court, and there are more governors that are Republican than Democrat right now. Those are the results. That's the scoreboard. World Series is going on right now. That's all it is. Balls and strikes, and who has the most runs. Right now, Republicans are running away with it, while Jen Psaki's talking about somebody's marriage. And thank God J.D. Vance pushed back on this and called it disgusting, because that's exactly what it is. It's disgusting. Anyway, I got to go because I want to bring in my next guest, that, of course, being Sean Spicer. So we'll go to Sean in a moment. This is the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
All right, let's bring in the host of the Sean Spicer Show. That's at Sean Spicer Show, co-host of the morning meeting, which I have shared with my next guest because every time I go on a hike, it may not be listening live necessarily, but that is always my go-to. Every Monday through Friday, it's a civilized, intelligent conversation about the state, mostly of politics and other things going on in the world. So definitely listen to the morning meeting, guys, when you're not listening to this station. He is Sean Spicer. Sean, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for the kind words. You know, I've done a lot in media. I know you've covered a lot in media. And the morning meeting, I'm so proud of. It's like everything else. Like I love defending conservative stuff and talking about the president and stuff like that. But the morning meeting, and anyone who wants to, just go to my YouTube channel, and we're live every morning from 9 to 10. And the cool thing is it's analysis. And like, I know you love this, Joe, because you literally bring such a perspective to the media. And what we do is we got a Democratic co-host, Dan Turrentine. We don't try to win each other over. We try to explain the news, right? So why is someone doing something? And it's not about like, I'm right, you're wrong. Half the time, Dan and I agree because we're explaining. And I love you in the analysis because I'm like, you're a sports guy. You have like 84 TVs in your house, I think, right?
That's true.
I know. And I know people like you who, my brother's one of those, like you can cite stats and you're like, you know, look, he ran for 18.2 yards in his freshman year. I love that for politics. And so for me, half the time, I love getting people in the morning and going over the news, why this is happening, why they reacted this way. So I thank you for mentioning it, but
yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, look, it's Mark Halperin, it's Dan Turrentine, it's Sean Spicer. And again, it's not like the Abby Phillips show on CNN where everybody's screaming at each other and it's all about getting a soundbite. It's just, you will be smarter by listening to the show.
But you know what? Can I just say one more thing? I know this is why you had me on. But the thing that there's a million people. I love analysis. I love punditry because I like people's opinion. Why do you think that? Blah, blah, blah. From both sides, to be honest with you. I love it. I'm a political dork. I love this stuff. But what I bring is completely different. I think, which is I can bring you analysis. Like, so we were brainstorming this morning with my team, and I said, hey, I want to do a whole thing on redistricting, go through state by state. I don't know that anyone else is going to spend 45 minutes going state by state doing that stuff. But for me, if you want to talk about who's going to hold the House of Representatives, this is probably 70% of the equation. And so I want to go through Missouri and Florida and Indiana and be like, okay, like let's get the really smart people in each of these states. Is it going to happen? If so, how is it? You know, how many seats are going to yield? We're talking about potentially doing it here in Virginia now. We'll end up, if they pulled it off, they'd get 2, maybe 3 seats. But like, again, if you want to talk about who's going to hold the House of Representatives, that's a key part of it. And that's what I love about what I do.
And when you say Virginia, and I'm glad you brought this up because it's exactly what I want to talk about with you first. When you say they will get 2 or 3 seats, will that be Democrats or Republicans? I assume Democrats.
Yeah, so here's the situation. Virginia's got a little funky situation going on here where if you want to change or amend the Constitution or how we do things, it's the legislature itself that does it. The governor, unbelievably does not have a role. So what
Youngkin
happens
has
is
no role,
the House,
Republican.
Right. So right now, the House of Delegates is controlled. I think the Democrats have a 2-seat majority. They got a 1 seat in the Senate. The House of Delegates, all 100 up right now this November, but not the Senate. So they will call back in a special session, is what they're rumored to be doing right now. Take Winsome Sears off the campaign trail with 12 days to go. Have a special session, pass a redistricting measure that would probably take at least 2 seats from that currently held by Republicans, like you look at Rob Whitman or Jen Kiggins down in the sort of Virginia Beach area, and they would remake those into Democrat-led seats. You'd push all the Republican seats out to the western side of Virginia. And then what happens is the way it works is you have to have an election in between the next vote of the assembly. So obviously they call a special session, vote now on a new redistricting effort. There would be an election held in a week or so, right? And then when they reconvene January 15th, the legislature in Virginia, the House of Delegates and the Senate would vote again on the same thing they just voted on. And then it would go to the people of Virginia to decide. It's a sneaky thing that they're doing days before an election. But those are the kind of things, again, that I don't think most people appreciate. Like the Democrats could, if they pulled this off, like I said, easily 2, potentially 3 seats, and they would shore up the 9th, or the Eugene Vindman seat a little, I think, too. So these are the to me, like, and this is totally flying beneath the radar. Everybody wanted to talk about Texas. No one wants to talk about what the Democrats are doing in these other states.
Yeah, and it's happening all over, right? I mean, California, which I don't know how many more seats they could possibly have since it's basically all Democrat anyway.
But look, I'll give you an example. In California, they're going to get 5 seats in Republicans. But here's the dirty little secret about California: it's not just the 5 seats that they'll take. The Democrats will pick up, right? Yeah. They will pick up 5, and then they'll shore up probably 4 to 6 competitive seats. So that's another total equation changer. And what I mean by that is, think about the millions of dollars that the Democrats would have had to have spent to defend a potential vulnerable Democrat members in California. They will shore those seats up, and what that will do is free up, probably a minimum of $10 million.
That's amazing. So there's a money equation here as well, as there always is in politics. We're talking to Sean Spicer. Yeah, I mean, we could be looking at 5 to 7 seats in Texas going Republican. You could see 2 to 3 in Ohio. Florida could also add some seats as well. Indiana, Missouri. If Democrats are going to play this game, ultimately, Sean, it looks like they very well can lose 17. I've seen even a higher number, 20 states. Yeah. And that could be the difference between House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries and perpetual impeachment, and obviously Mike Johnson remaining the House Speaker and the Trump agenda moving forward.
100%, and that's exactly what's at stake, Joe. But let's be honest. So again, the narrative isn't getting fully told. Texas, it started all this. Democrats like to say, "Oh, they gerrymandered their map," and that's just simply not true. The Department of Justice, because of a case out of Galveston, required them to redistrict. Right? So I mean, they're not going to do it stupidly. They said, "Great, if we're going to be forced to do it, let's do it the way." But this all started because the Department of Justice said that they weren't in compliance with the Voting Rights Act. So anyway, they picked up 5 seats, and Gavin Newsom responded and said, "Well, fine, we'll redistrict in California. They're going to win that referendum, as far as I can tell. They'll negate that 5 with 5 in California, so now they're at a 0. Indiana, those wusses in Indiana can't get the votes to pull it off. So you take that off the table. Wow. I think you get 2 out of Missouri. So right now we're just +2 in Missouri. I think you get 3 out of Florida if they'll go through with it. So now you're at +5. There's a potential." So my point in all this is, after all of this, I agree. I started this cycle thinking, hey, Republicans are probably net up somewhere around 11 or 12. This might be a lot of smoke. And when the fire settles, you kind of look and go, Republicans end up +5, 6, 7. Because I think, especially if they did what they do in Virginia, it might even be 3 or 4 seats.
That's true. And I should be clear. I'm including also the Supreme Court as far as striking down, or at least limiting, the Voting Rights Act, the VRA.
Yeah. And by the way, that to me is another whole media. Like, just stop and for a moment realize that the Voting Rights Act created these what they call majority-minority districts, which is code word for Democrat, right? I mean, there's Republicans. You think about how minority Republicans win elections. So young Kim in California, John James in Michigan, Byron Donalds in Florida, Burgess Owens in Utah. These guys of color are winning as Republicans in majority white districts. What Democrats did using the Voting Rights Act as cover is created what they call minority majority districts, which is they pack a bunch of people of color that are Democrats into a district, elect somebody, and say, "Oh, see, like this is not like they lie to you when they tell you about what the Voting Rights Act." What they've done with it. They interpret it to mean we create Democrat districts that elect, minorities. Republicans actually elect minorities. They just do it in sort of the free market, if you will, where the good candidate wins out because they've got better ideas and a better campaign. And so anyway, I get a kick out of all these folks because again, it's not about voting rights for Democrats. It's about making sure that they pack districts where they can reelect themselves.
Power, exactly. And that's why they want Puerto Rico and D.C. to be states, because that adds for Democratic...
Oh, dude, don't get me started on D.C. I mean, I'm with you on this. It's such a scam that they're doing on that.
Yeah, I mean, 700,000 people in a city. Sure, make it a state. Why not? It's just
but Joe,
Maryland.
Since you brought up my favorite thing, just remember, I tell people this all the time. D.C. was created out of Virginia and Maryland. It used to be a perfect square. It was 10 miles by 10 miles. That's what the framers asked for. When they realized there were a whole bunch of issues without going to, I think it was 1847, they gave back where I live today, where I'm talking to you from right now, was part of D.C. We gave it back to Virginia. Okay. And the bottom line is that if we don't think that that the federal district is using a bunch of the area, which it's not, which is sort of wards 3, 4, all that northwest part of DC, give it back to Maryland where it came from. And the Democrats instead say, no, we should create a new state. Well, wait a second. It was part of a state. It was called Maryland. Maryland gave it to create this federal district. If you're not using it, do what you did with Virginia and give that back.
As someone who went to college right off of Route 1, the University of Maryland, yes, I am very familiar with that northwest part of D.C. that we're talking about here. And we're talking to Sean Spicer, of course. I want to get your reaction to this real quick, Sean, as a former White House press secretary. Here's Jen Psaki. This is Cut 2, guys, talking about how MSNBC really is the place to go to if you want news. Cut 2, go.
A lot of what we do is storytell and not bullshit and just tell people what's happening. And that's exciting to be a part of and to be our own world of it. Let's not debate the sky is blue. The sky is blue. Right. And I don't think we have to have another side of, was it the pros and cons of Letitia James being indicted, right? There are no pros.
There are no pros.
There are many cons. Here are all the things with it. That is one of the things I so appreciate.
Is it embarrassing that you share the same title as her as a former White House press secretary? Because I think even more so than KJP, probably one of the worst people on the planet. Sorry to be personal, but that's just where
No. First of all, I mean, just think about that quote, what she's saying. And to me, that's what I find funny is her thing is, we storytell. Okay, well, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I'm a big believer. I have a show at night. I tell people all the time, I'm not a journalist. I'm in the media, but I have an opinion. I tell it. Like, if you're about to say that MSNBC is the place to go for news and we're great at storytelling, well, then that's not news. That's storytelling.
Right.
And I mean, like, I can't believe that you're dumb enough to put that sentence together. I mean, think about it. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, we're not doctors, but we talk about health. It's like, I don't understand what her point was there. MSNBC is a joke. Right. I did a great clip. If anyone wants to see it, I put it on my Instagram page last night. Speaking of Virginia, they're having this great conversation about misogyny and how American voters are anti-women and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys do know that in Virginia, regardless, like, there's 2 candidates for governor, both are women. Like you can't. One of them is going to win. Like, I hope it Winsome Earl Sears. But I'm just saying that, like, they're that stupid where they didn't realize that they're having this whole discussion about how the American people refuse to elect women. And I'm like, you guys might. That was their default excuse as to why people aren't winning on the female side, because we're a misogynist, sexist society. And I was like, no one stopped to think, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, they said the same thing about Kamala Harris and why she wasn't president because of misogyny and sexism and racism when she ran in 2019 and didn't even get to 2020. Well, I could go on and on as far as how dumb MSNBC is, but you're right, and their viewership proves it. Anyway, Sean, they're telling me we got to go, but I appreciate it. You got to go do some things yourself, so I appreciate you joining us. The morning meeting, guys. Do watch it on Sean's YouTube page, and we thank the former press secretary, the good one, Sean Spicer, for joining us.
Thanks, brother.
Sean Spicer, everyone. And this is the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. Let's bring in Hugh Hewitt. He, of course, is the great radio host on the Salem News Channel, affiliates wide. So apparently this is also a TV thing as well. And obviously a Fox News contributor just like me. How are you, Hugh?
I'm great, Joe. Good to be with you on a Sunday morning. Glad that I am a part of the show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I always love having you on because you give it to us straight. And it's hard to believe it was almost 1 year ago, Hugh, that you had that run-in with Jonathan Capehart when you were with the Washington Post. An argument was being made that you wanted to correct the record on. You did so in a very civilized fashion and was spoken down to. And any regrets as far as leaving the Post, or was it the best decision you ever made?
Oh, no. In fact, just last week, I was in upstate New York with Ruth Marcus, who was on the set that day, that unfortunate. I've only lost my temper twice in 35 years of broadcast. The first time was with a lawyer for the pornography industry telling me that it wouldn't affect children. And I threw him off the set in PBS land out in L.A., and my producers got mad at me. And that was the second time. So if I lose it every 35 years, I guess that's okay. How about you, Joe? Have you ever lost your temper on set?
Only talking about something, but not actually with a guest. You know, I lost it, I guess it was a couple of months ago when James Comey, 60-something-year-old James Comey says he's wandering along the beach and stumbled upon seashells that were spelled 8647. And it was just so insulting to everybody's intelligence because obviously he did it because he literally was the only person to take a picture of this thing. He puts it up on social media and then plays the victim. I was on with Jesse Waters and I heard from people I haven't heard from in years saying, I've never seen you get that emotional before, but I was just so tired of the political rhetoric getting out of control in this country. And then just days later, I think that was when Charlie Kirk was shot. So I guess it proved to be, unfortunately, prophetic.
Well, that's righteous anger. I still don't like to lose my... And by the way, when you're the guest, you can get as angry as you want.
That's true.
It's just when you're with a colleague, I just do not like to lose my temper. It's just a professional discipline. But Ruth and I are good friends. She's a fine reporter, and I've always been a bit regretful that she caught some shrapnel for that because she had nothing to do with the setup, which was flawed. And I wish everybody well. I never talk down about people I've worked with. I just don't talk about them.
That's smart. And we're talking to Hugh Hewitt. So we're at day, I don't know, what is it now? Day 1,400 of the government shutdown. I mean, it's so hard to keep track at this point. Do you see this thing getting resolved anytime soon? Because it seems like both sides are completely dug in. And I think the fact that Americans, at least now, aren't feeling it in any way, shape, or form, or aren't even really talking about it. It's big in cable news, but for the most part, it's almost like a non-story, much like the government shutdown in 2018, where it was shut down for 5 weeks and no one really noticed. So is this a tree falling in the forest and no one hearing it moment, or will one side, do you think, eventually cave?
Well, I think we're all absorbed by the constitutional crisis of renovations at the East Wing. We're just all completely absorbed by that. But the reality of the shutdown is hitting people who work for the government, obviously, and they live in Northern Virginia. It might hurt Spanberger. I also think, can you imagine, Joe, if Republicans shut down the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP? It's food for poor people. That's all it is. People understand. A lot of people don't make enough money to eat. They go get SNAP cards. SNAP cards can only buy basic food, and they're free. And if Republicans, I'm a Republican, so I say we, If we shut down the government and snap ended, the world would be melting down. So I think Democrats are playing with fire, and just because their allies in legacy media have chosen to give them some cover, that will not fly much longer. And we'll see if Jack Ciattarelli wins in New Jersey or if Winsome Sears pulls it off in Virginia. Either of those will be very, very shocking to the Democrats, who should win both easily, given that there's a Republican in the White House. These are the off years that usually go the other way. So I hope that will wake them up, because this is really the Seinfeld shutdown. It's about nothing. It's stupid. Chuck Schumer does not want AOC. Do you vote in New York or New Jersey?
I vote in New Jersey, actually, so I could tell you from the ground here. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've already voted for Sears. Have you already voted for Jack?
It starts tomorrow, actually. I'm sorry. It started yesterday, I should say, the 25th. So I'm going to go on Monday, and I'll be voting for Jack Ciattarelli. I've had him on this show before. He nearly won 4 years ago when he had no backing, no name recognition, and he lost by 2 points to Phil Murphy, who was expected to win by 15. So if he's in a dead heat now with Mikey Sherrill, who, again, cannot explain how she made $7 million while sitting on the Armed Services Committee trading defense stocks, that's something where she's gone all full Kamala Harris word salad on, and it's really hurting her.
I know the Virginia races very well. I know Spanberger has turned into an automaton, sort of a Star Trek-y person who's beaming aboard and doesn't say anything. She's falling in the polls, but I didn't know that Cheryl's problem was insider trading. I just thought Jack has been on the show exactly once in 25 years. He has a lot of charisma. Boy, What broadcast chops.
What is the feeling down in Virginia? Because that, I think, is a tougher hill to climb. Spanberger obviously being hurt by the Jay Jones controversy. That, of course, is the guy running for attorney general who wished death not only on his political opponent, but also on his wife and 2 young children, as well as cops need to be shot more, he said, in order for there to be police reform. So that appears to be dragging down that ticket. But will it be enough, given how strong Northern Virginia goes towards Democrats?
People forget that in the Senate race against Mark Warner probably 6 years ago, the former chairman of the RNC had almost came up and beat him and spent no money. So sometimes there are ripples in Virginia. I do think Winsome Sears is still behind, probably by 4 or 5 points. But Spanberger is flailing, absolutely flailing. She did a Katie Couric podcast yesterday, did it again, got mad at the voters because she has to answer the Jay Jones question, why won't you condemn this lunatic? And Miyares is going to win as Attorney General. He's pulled away, but it's a very uphill climb because this is a blue state like New Jersey. Maybe it takes 2 tries every time. Maybe it's like places like to rotate governors back and forth. But I have not given up hope. I've already voted for Sears. I believe it is possible. I didn't think that 3 months ago.
And we're talking to Hugh Hewitt, who was on with Bret Baier last night on Special Report, a regular panelist on that great show. I think the last news show that we actually have on the air now at this point, as far as ABC, CBS, and NBC and their evening newscasts are just so far to the left. And Bret does such a great job in bringing in different perspectives on the panel, but also giving you the news for the first 40 minutes of the show, the way we used to watch it growing up. I want to play for you because you talked about last night as far as Governor Pritzker. You believe he will run. Your quote exactly is he's not running very well. This is true. And before you came on, Pritzker sat down with Bret, and this is how this interview went. And let's just say it didn't go well. Maybe the worst interview in the history of interviews on cable news. This is cut 9. Go.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed, our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number 1 over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
What I'm explaining to you is
you're
when
talking
you want to
about
fight crime. Look, you can pull statistics up.
No,
I can
these are
too.
murders.
I'm explaining to you that our murder rate has been cut in half. And very importantly, Bret, and you got to hear this, very importantly, we've been doing the things that are necessary to bring crime down, right? We've invested in community violence interruption. We've invested in police.
So basically, Hugh, he's going down this Democrat road, which we saw like with inflation, right, where it was transitory. It was a Putin price hike. Oh, people just don't understand the economy. It's or the Biden cheap fake videos where what you're actually seeing, you're not really seeing in terms of Joe Biden's brain turning to mashed potatoes. He's trying to convince people that everything's A-OK in Chicago. And Brett literally had balls and strikes numbers there that say, no, you're the highest in the country. And he continued to try to push it that everything's a utopia in the Windy City.
You grabbed the best bite. Pay no attention to the dead bodies behind the curtain. That was amazing. Brett, statistics. And Brett said, these are murders. And I thought, oh, he's bad at this. And there are some people who shouldn't run for president, just like big men should not do ballet. He should not be running for president. He's not good at this. But because he's in Illinois, that is a deep blue state, completely gerrymandered. It's got, I think, by most objective scorecard, the worst gerrymandering, which I don't mind, by the way. I'm a proponent of gerrymandering. That's what the framers thought that would happen. Political stuff, just one man, one vote. That's all we need. He's just not good at this. But the false positive he has in his head comes because he's a billionaire who bought the governor's mansion. It won't work in a competitive primary situation.
And that's the thing. And we're talking to Hugh, and unfortunately, we only have about 2 minutes, Hugh, so I'll try to condense this question as best as I can. You have Zohran Mamdani, who's probably going to be the next mayor of New York, and some pundits out there I see, oh, no, that's the roadmap. You got to go more to the left and push progressive values. That's what AOC believes. Gavin Newsom wants to really, really run for president. That's a deep blue state with some severe problems that he also paints as, actually, no, we're really doing great. You're just misunderstanding the numbers. Same thing with Pritzker. Do you think ultimately that the candidate that ends up being the nominee will be from a state like Illinois, California, New York, or could you see it being more of a moderate like an Andy Beshear out of Kentucky?
Great question, Joe. I think it's going to be a lefty. I think they have to go through the cycle of nominating a new George McGovern. They have to get blown out, and then they'll have a Bill Clinton-esque figure arise, start a new Democratic majority, repeat the whole 1992 cycle, hope for a split among Republicans. But right now, the nominee is going to go to a talented lefty, and AOC is the most talented of them all in terms of she avoids getting run over in the middle of the street. She stays away from people like Brett who ask serious questions, and Gavin's record will melt him. I like the governor personally, nice guy, cannot run that state. I left that state, ran away for a reason. It's fallen apart.
And that's the thing, right? Well, I'll leave it here, and I'll give you the last word for 15 seconds. But AOC runs. I can't see her winning Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, the same way Kamala couldn't. She'll be seen as a far leftist who speaks down to people, and she won't try to go to the center like Kamala attempted to. She'll stay left. And if you do that, sure, you'll blow it out in New York and California. You're going to lose everywhere else. So final 15 seconds. AOC, the nominee, right. Can she win?
Business proposition. For her benefit, it will make sense to run and lose and then go off and get your own show and make millions of dollars. And having been a Democratic nominee is not a small thing, even if you lose. So I think she can run.
All right, there it is. And Hugh Hewitt, he is a host on the Salem Media Network. That's 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Hugh, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too, sir. He's great, isn't he? I'm so glad Fox signed him because it just brings such intelligence and humor and pragmatism to the network. We have a lot of that, but we could always use more, and Hughes certainly brings it. This is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm sure you want to get back to reading Karine Jean-Pierre's book now at this point, because it is really flying off the shelves. Actually, no, it's not. This is unbelievable. She was now. I've sold some books in my day. I've had 3. My latest, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, Unburdened by What Has Been. Yes, that was a New York Times bestseller. At one point on Amazon, it went to number 1. So that's just little old me, right? And I basically appeared on one network and a bunch of talk shows, including on WABC in New York with Sid, and also with Katz and Cosby. And, that's fine. That helps sell the book. But I wasn't on Stephen Colbert, and I wasn't on CBS, and I wasn't on NBC, CNN, MSNBC. Go down the list. Karine Jean-Pierre has to sell her new book called, ironically enough, Independent. Oh, yeah, she's a centrist, no question. A look inside a broken White House outside the party lines. And it's a bizarre book tour because she is still defending the fact that she didn't know anything about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, his brain turning to mashed potatoes, not just during that debate in 2024. Forget about that. Because my first book called Come On, Man, The Truth About Joe Biden's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Presidency, that I wrote in 2021, I was talking about his cognitive decline then because it was so obvious during the 2020 campaign when they kept him in his basement for a reason. Well, get this. Karine's book is now at 401 in books. 400 after you've done every major network and even late night television. It's almost mathematically impossible to do, but no one wants to buy this book because this is one of the least credible people we have ever seen in Washington. It makes Jen Psaki look like a truth teller at this point, which obviously one of the most dishonest, pious, condescending people you've ever seen as a White House press secretary. Somehow Karine Jean-Pierre was far, far worse. Anyway, listen to this, because I'm first going to play for you one soundbite where she did an interview this week for the book tour, talking about how, we all knew he was aging. We were upfront about that. And then let's listen to her in July of 2024, again, after the debate, defending Joe Biden's mental prowess. This is cut number 3. Go.
We're always honest. You couldn't hide the fact that he was aging, right? And we saw that. There were moments where it showed that he was no one is denying that.
No one's denying it. Oh, really? All right. Let's hear from Karine in July of 2024 denying that. Cut 4. Go.
He is as sharp as ever, as I have known him to be in my engagement and my experience with him. And I know when I walk into the Oval Office or see him on Air Force One, I have to be on top of my game. I do. I mean, and that's just kind of my engagement with him and how it's been for the past couple of years.
I have to be on top of my game. It's like John Nash from A Beautiful Mind. Like, this guy is, beyond intelligent, and you just didn't see it in person when he was shaking hands with the air, or when he was falling down up the stairs of Air Force One, or off his bike in Delaware, or on stage at the Air Force Academy, or when he said he had conversations with presidents and prime ministers of other countries who have been dead for decades. I mean, was that kind of the giveaway then at that point, guys? Couldn't remember his own cabinet member names? That's kind of a giveaway. Even his defense secretary, kind of a big deal. So, yeah, the fact that she's defending this, I mean, she deserves to make $0 on this book. And when you're ranked 400 after a massive book tour, that is a real problem. Anyway, let's go have some more fun, shall we? Because apparently Robert De Niro, he's like, I guess, an unofficial host on MSNBC, or at least he has a cot there, because I feel like he's on every day. Not to talk about his latest movie. We don't need The Irishman 2, that I know, because the first movie was like 3 movies long, and I didn't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I thought Pesci was incredible, and De Niro, and always good to see De Niro and Pacino together, because that's rare, right? I think it happened in Heat, and that was it. And they were both in the Godfather movies, but they were different characters at different times, so they never actually had a scene together. But my point is that De Niro is no longer relevant as an actor and hasn't been for some time, but he says some really nasty stuff about Trump. So, of course, a clown network like MSNBC is going to put him on. Here he is talking about how Stephen Miller, senior advisor to the president, is actually a Nazi, despite being, Jewish. This is cut 5. Go.
He will not. We see it all the time. He will not want to leave. He set it up with his. I guess he's the Goebbels of the cabinet, Stephen Miller. He's a Nazi. Yes, he is. And he's Jewish, and he should be ashamed of himself.
A Jewish Nazi. That's a new one. I mean, what more can you say? I just can't even get over the fact that that's the argument that De Niro wants to go with. And of course, you should see the hosts on that network that are shaking their head. Yes, Robert, this is so wise what you're saying at this point. I mean, please, for the love of God, go away or run for office if you're so tough. You're 82. That apparently is not a problem anymore. Or go do the Fight the Oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders. You'll fly well. You'll fly private jets along with AOC while talking about climate change and fighting billionaires while living like a billionaire. It's really quite remarkable. Anyway, finally, there's a liberal meltdown going on at this point. I mean, they're really in a glass case of emotion on this one. As far as the White House renovations, where the president of the United States, because elections have consequences, he's adding a ballroom, a nice ballroom, because when you go to state dinners, and I've been to the White House before, it's not the biggest place in the world. When they have big events and you have these foreign dignitaries there, half of them are outside in a tent on grass, like, with the heaters going and everything. It's like, this is the White House and we can't even host like a real nice ballroom like dinner. So Trump's adding a ballroom, just like Jackie Kennedy renovated the White House back in 1962. And it was such a special moment that a network special was done on her giving a tour of the renovations and the history behind it and why she was doing it. And 80 million people tuned in, and Jackie won an Emmy. Good for her, right? And it's gone on with Obama. It's gone on with William Howard Taft. FDR is the one who added the East Room in the first place, which was not part of the original structure. So yeah, it's time, guys. Time for, another edition. Renovations. So the Yankees play in the old Yankee Stadium, or should they get a new stadium like they did? Of course. New stadium 16 years ago. Cut 6. Go.
All of the banging, the jackhammering, the dust, the confusion, the noise of all places to do construction is happening right here, the front lawn of the White House.
It's a 4-year renovation project. Estimated cost, $376 million.
Oh, my gosh. So you're saying that Trump is going to spend $376 million on this ballroom? Taxpayer money? That is unacceptable. Oh, right. Wait, that clip was from 2010 and Barack Obama and a giddy CNN reporting how he's going to spend nearly $400 million to White House renovations. And not one Democrat had any problem with that because they shouldn't. This is the way things work. Anyway. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. This is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. We'll see you again next week, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Bye-bye.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show.